My name is Jenna Aldridge, and I'm 35. If you'd asked me a year ago to describe my life, I would have called it steady. Not exciting, not tragic, just stable in a way I'd deliberately built. One late shift at a time, one planned choice, one bill paid before the deadline. I work in operations at a mid-sized logistics company. My days are spreadsheets, schedules, and constant troubleshooting when shipments get delayed or someone misplaces an entire pallet. My one-bedroom apartment always smells faintly of coffee and dry erase markers. One corner of the living room is covered in monitors, sticky notes, and color-coded task lists. I always know when every payment is due, what's in my savings, and exactly how long my emergency fund could sustain me. I value ballast, the steady weight that keeps things from tipping. For nearly 2 years, that ballast included someone, Liam Hart. We met at a mutual friend's weekly game night. Mark hosted simple board games, inexpensive snacks, and a rotating group of people. At the second or third gathering, a guy in a worn band t-shirt sat across from me, debating whether a vague rule made a strategy unfair. He had a crooked smile, an easy laugh, and a way of making casual talk feel more meaningful. That was Liam. We bonded over bad horror films and obscure indie bands barely anyone knows. After a few weeks, game night became Tuesday coffees, Friday movie nights, and long text threads about work issues or whatever meme was circulating. At group outings, we usually arrived together, left together, or at least checked in on the way home. If you'd asked me 6 months in what we were, I would have said friends. If you'd asked me a year in, after he started texting me first thing in the morning, last thing at night, sitting a little too close during movies, brushing my arm when making a point, and saying weekly, "You're the only person I can really talk to about this," I would have paused. I didn't fall for him in one moment. It happened slowly, in the space between ordinary interactions. Shared jokes no one else understood, how he remembered small details I'd mentioned weeks before, how he'd automatically save the corner booth at the coffee shop as if it belonged to us. I kept telling myself we were just close friends, that I was tired, that he was simply thoughtful. But then there were nights he'd mention other women with the same tone people use for small talk. I went on a date. It was fine. And he'd still finish the conversation with, "Anyway, what are you doing this weekend? We should watch something dumb and scary." He wanted my attention, my support, my time, but not me, as I would eventually learn. 3 weeks ago, the tension I'd been carrying finally snapped. We were at our usual coffee shop, 2 blocks from my apartment, where the barista knew our orders. The corner booth had become ours around month 6, and if someone else sat there, we'd both feel mildly irritated. That day, he was venting about office issues, how a coworker messed up a presentation, and how his manager was being passive-aggressive. I was listening, stirring my latte long after the foam disappeared. At some point, I realized I wasn't absorbing a word. I was watching the way he talked, how his eyes brightened when he laughed, and a clear thought hit me. If he started dating someone seriously tomorrow, I would be expected to congratulate him, act pleased, and quietly move aside while he placed someone else in the space I had filled without the title. The realization unsettled me. "Jenna, you okay?" he asked. I put my cup down, noticing my hands were slightly unsteady. "Yeah, I just need to say something." He straightened up a bit. "Okay, what's on your mind?" My heart was pounding. I'd practiced this many times, and it still sounded awkward. "I have feelings for you, more than friends. I've felt this way for a while." The words were out, sitting between us. His face shifted through a series of quick expressions: surprise, concern, and then something I recognized only because I'd seen it before toward lost animals and overwhelmed interns: pity. "Oh, Jenna," he said quietly, placing his cup down gently. "I wasn't expecting that." "Yeah," I tried to laugh, but it came out uneven. "I figured." He rubbed his jaw. "Can I think about this?" "Sure," I said. "Take whatever time you need." We finished our coffee in a silence where every small sound felt amplified. Our goodbye hug outside felt different. Stiff, uncertain. That night I couldn't sleep. I replayed every possible outcome. Maybe he'd realize he felt the same but didn't want to risk the friendship. Maybe he'd like me but need time. Maybe he'd turn me down and say, "I hope this doesn't change anything," as if that could undo the shift. The next day, instead of texting, he called. I was at work. I let it ring a few times, stepped into a conference room, and answered. "Hey," I said, trying to sound normal. "Hey," he replied, skipping small talk. "I've been thinking about what you said." Of course he had been thinking about it. So had I. Almost obsessively. "Jenna," he began, and my stomach dropped. Those were not the words I wanted. "You're kind, you're funny, and I enjoy spending time with you, but I don't see you as girlfriend material. I think we're better as friends." The message was clear, efficient, and almost clinical. The words hit like cold water, sharp but clarifying. "Okay," I said, because that's what you say when you're trying to stay composed. "Can I ask why?" "I don't know," he replied, which wasn't entirely true, just easier. "There's no spark. You're great, just not in that way." It didn't make sense to me, but it was enough to stop asking. "Got it," I said. "Thanks for being honest." "I hope this doesn't make things weird," he added quickly. "I value our friendship." It was such a familiar line that I wondered how many times he had used it. "It won't," I lied, trying to maintain some version of calm. "I appreciate you telling me." We hung up. I stood alone in the conference room for a while, looking at my reflection in the dark monitor. Then I went back to my desk and pretended to work for the rest of the afternoon. That evening, my phone buzzed again. A text from Liam repeating almost exactly what he'd said. "You're sweet, but I don't see you as girlfriend material. I think we're better as friends." It felt like he wanted it documented so there'd be no misunderstanding. I stared at it for a long time. There was a version of me who would have replied, "I understand. I'm glad we're still friends." The version who would have overcorrected to seem easygoing and unbothered. The version who would keep meeting twice a week, accepting small scraps of attention while he dated others and complained about them over coffee. But that wasn't me anymore. Something shifted. Not anger, just a clear understanding. He didn't see me as girlfriend material, so I would stop treating him like boyfriend material. I typed 2 words, "Fair enough." My thumb hovered, knowing things would change. Maybe not for him, since he had plenty of people around him, but for me, everything would be different. I hit send. A calm settled in. Not relief, not heartbreak, just a decision. From then on, the terms were different. No more dropping everything to listen to him vent. No rearranging my schedule around him. No more interpreting routine messages like they carried hidden meaning. If I wasn't girlfriend material to him, he wasn't going to be a central figure in my life. For the first time in a long while, I opened my laptop and looked at my calendar, not to fit him in, but to see what my life looked like without him at the center. Suddenly, many evenings were open. I didn't know yet that those empty spaces would make room for everything that came next. The morning after his rejection felt unusually quiet, not peaceful, just like background noise had been turned off. At 9:12 a.m. Tuesday, Liam texted like he always did. "Coffee later, same time?" Normally, I'd smile, adjust my schedule, and agree. This time, I stared at the screen, feeling nothing. No anger, no sadness, just reality. I didn't owe him that routine. I wrote, "Can't today. Busy." It was polite and true. Busy moving on. He sent a thumbs up emoji, the one he used when he didn't know what else to say. 2 days later, he called. "Hey, movie night tomorrow? They're screening that awful horror sequel at the Plaza." The Plaza was our theater. We'd seen the first movie there, sharing stale popcorn and laughing through half of it, but that belonged to a different version of us. "I've got plans," I said. "Oh," a pause. "With who?" I didn't answer that part. Maybe another time. On Sunday, he sent a meme about a raccoon stealing pizza. I tapped like, no back and forth, no commentary. By the end of the week, he'd sent several variations of, "Is everything okay? Did I do something? Talk to me." I replied to one, "Yeah, just busy." It wasn't a lie. I was busy redirecting my energy. The next Tuesday, I went to the gym, not out of some dramatic urge to reinvent myself, but because I needed somewhere to put the extra time and emotion. I joined a beginner strength training class, planning to blend into the back and leave feeling productive. Instead, halfway through deadlifts, the trainer walked over, crouched beside me, and said, "Careful, your spine's doing a question mark thing. Mind if I adjust?" I looked up, tall, athletic, warm brown eyes, and a steady smile. "Sure," I said. He demonstrated patiently without making me feel self-conscious. When I got it right, he smiled like he genuinely meant it. "Perfect. See? Stronger than you think." That was Noah Parker, direct, funny, and easy to talk to without any hidden layers to decode. After class, he caught up to me near the lockers. "You did better than most people their first day," he said. I laughed. "Pretty sure I almost dropped the bar on my foot." "And yet you didn't. That counts. Are you around later this week? There's a place with terrible smoothies but amazing nachos." He was asking me out, clearly directly. No mixed signals. And for the first time in a long while, someone's interest didn't make me brace for disappointment. "Yeah," I said. "I'm around." He grinned. "Great, I'll text you." When I got home, Liam had messaged, "Tuesday coffee later? Things feel weird. Can we talk?" I replied, "Not avoiding, just busy. Hope you're good." He responded instantly, "Can we grab coffee anyway? I feel like I lost my best friend." I didn't reply. Not out of anger, but because something in me understood. He didn't want to date me, so he didn't get to act like he had a deeper claim on my time now. 2 days later, Noah texted, "Party at a friend's this Saturday. Want to come with me?" He'd mentioned his circle before. Other trainers, some clients who became friends, old college buddies. A new environment, a chance to breathe different air. "Sure," I replied, then added, "Who's hosting?" He sent the address and my stomach tightened. Mark's place. My Mark. The mutual friend who hosted game nights, the starting point of everything with Liam. I stared at the screen, unsure if this was coincidence, timing, or just life being messy. Noah sent a follow-up text. "Too weird. We can skip." I surprised myself by replying right away. "Not weird. Let's go." It was time to stop letting Liam be the center of every choice I made. Friday afternoon, he texted me, "There's a party tomorrow at Mark's. You going?" I waited 2 minutes, then wrote, "Yeah, I'm going." A moment later, "Great. Want to ride together like usual?" I exhaled. The assumption, the routine of it, scraped something in me. Actually, I'm bringing someone. The typing bubble appeared instantly. "Who are you dating? Someone? When were you going to tell me?" I didn't answer. Not to make a point, but because I finally understood something. When someone tells you you're not enough, they don't get a front row seat when someone else sees your value. Saturday came quickly. Noah picked me up at 7. He wore a simple black jacket and jeans, nothing showy, just comfortable in a way that made me feel more at ease. "You look great," he said when I opened the door. Not flirty, not pushy, just sincere. "Thanks," I said, meaning it. As we drove, he asked, "So who exactly is this Mark?" "Old friend," I said, "and the mutual friend who introduced me to someone I used to be close with. I'm guessing he'll be there." "Definitely. Anything I should know?" "You already know what matters," I said. "I'm here with you." He smiled. "Good answer." We reached Mark's around 8. The house glowed with warm lights, music floating out, people talking over each other. Mark opened the door and did a double take. "Jenna? And hi, I'm Mark." "Noah," he said, shaking his hand. "Thanks for having us." Mark stepped aside, still processing. "Yeah, of course. Come in." Inside, I recognized almost everyone. Faces from game nights, bar outings, birthdays. Near the kitchen, Liam was talking to Hannah. He saw me first. His smile came automatically, warm, the kind I used to rely on. Then he saw Noah beside me. His expression froze mid-smile, mid-word. I nodded politely and kept walking, Noah's arm brushing mine in a steady way. In the kitchen, I poured Noah a drink, introduced him around, moved through the room like I belonged there, not as Liam's backup, but as myself. 10 minutes later, Hannah approached, lips tight and eyebrows raised. "Jenna, can I talk to you alone?" Noah squeezed my hand. "You good?" "Yeah," I said. "Go mingle. I'll be right back." She led me to Mark's office and closed the door. "What are you doing?" she whispered. "Attending a party? You brought a date?" "Yes. It's been, 2 weeks since everything with Liam. This is fast. Fast for whom? Me or him?" She hesitated. "He's upset." I exhaled. "That's not my responsibility. He assumed you two would still be close." "We are still friends," I said. "Just not the version of friendship he benefits from while I sit quiet." "Jenna, come on." "No," I said calmly. "For 2 years, I treated him as important in every part of my life. He made it clear he didn't feel the same. I'm allowed to adjust." She didn't respond. I walked back into the warmth of the party. Noah was at the bookshelf talking to Mark, both laughing about something. He looked at me, noticed whatever was still on my face, and mouthed, "You okay?" I nodded. Something inside me settled. For the first time in months, I felt steady, maybe even clear. What struck me about walking back in was how normal everything looked. Music low, someone laughing loudly near the snacks, a group arguing about movie rankings. The world kept moving, but something in the air felt different. Noah glanced up as I re-entered. His smile was small but steady. He didn't rush toward me or hover. He was simply present. It made something in me ease. He and Mark were talking about travel. Both had been to Iceland. Both had nearly frozen their faces off. Both said the midnight sun was surreal. Their voices blended with the room, grounding me. I joined them just as Mark laughed. "Hey, Jenna, I was telling Noah about the time Hannah tried to hike in sneakers on volcanic rock." "That was one time," I said, "and she still brings it up like it was a crime." Noah grinned. "I'm starting to see why you two get along." Before I could respond, I noticed movement. Liam? He stood near the hallway watching us. Not angry, not smiling, just waiting, like he assumed I'd walk over the moment I saw him, like I still revolved around him. I didn't. I turned back to Noah and asked about the hike he did in the West Fjords. His face lit up, animated storytelling with his hands, and I let myself lean into something simple and good. Still, I felt Liam's attention in the room. Every time I laughed, every time Noah leaned closer to hear over the music, I could sense Liam noticing. Not because he loved me, but because I wasn't orbiting him anymore. People notice the absence of your devotion faster than they ever noticed its presence. About 20 minutes later, someone tapped my shoulder. Hannah. "Hey," she said carefully, "can I borrow your guy for a second? Mark wants to show him the grill setup." Noah looked at me. "You good?" "Yeah," I said. "Go. I'll be right here." As he walked toward the backyard, I turned to refill my drink. "Jenna?" Liam's voice, smooth, familiar, loaded. I didn't turn immediately. I finished pouring my sparkling water, set the bottle down, then faced him. "Hey," I said. His expression was tight, trying to seem casual. "Can we talk?" I raised a brow. "Here? No. Outside, just a minute." I breathed in slowly. Not anxious, just tired of giving his feelings priority. "I'm in the middle of something," I said. "Jenna, come on, please." That word used to break me. Now it barely moved anything. I considered the history, the patterns, the cycle. Then I shook my head. "Not right now." His jaw tightened. "You're avoiding me." "I'm existing," I said. "There's a difference." He looked at me like I was a different person than the one he knew 2 weeks ago. "You brought a date," he said finally. "Already?" I crossed my arms lightly. "And it's fast. For who?" "You." He looked down, then up. "I didn't think you'd move on like this." I let the words sit. Move on like this. As in without his permission, without waiting, without orbiting. "I wasn't waiting for you," I said quietly. "You made your position clear." "That doesn't mean," he paused, exhaling. "It doesn't mean I don't care." "I know you care," I said, "just not in the way I needed. And that's fine. But caring doesn't give you access to my life on the terms you prefer." He blinked, surprised, like it hadn't occurred to him that the terms weren't his. Before he could answer, Noah returned, brushing ash from his jacket. "There you are," he said gently. "Sorry, Mark had me inspect a grill situation way above my pay grade." He glanced between us. "Everything good?" "Yes," I said, and I meant it. Liam stepped back slightly, forced a smile, and said, "Nice to meet you," to Noah. "You too," Noah replied, calm and steady. Liam drifted away, slow and reluctant, but he still left. For the first time in a long while, I didn't feel pulled in his direction. I turned to Noah, who gave me a look that wasn't invasive or possessive, just attentive enough to show he cared. "You sure you're okay?" he asked. "I'm okay," I said, surprised by how true it felt. "Good," he said. "Then come on. Mark claims he has some rare board game we have to try, and honestly, I'm concerned." I laughed and let him guide me back into the party. The rest of the night, I stayed close to him, not attached, like not trying to make a point, just naturally drawn to someone who made me feel valued instead of dismissed. And whenever Liam drifted near whatever group I was in, I didn't pull away, shift around, or make space so he could be comfortable. I stayed where I was without apologizing. By the time Noah drove me home, my chest felt lighter than it had in months. I didn't know yet that this ease would trigger a wave of late-night messages from Liam, but that would come later. For now, the night ended quietly. I walked into my apartment, closed the door, and breathed air that finally felt like mine. The messages started just after midnight, though I didn't see them until morning, sitting at my kitchen table with coffee and sore legs from deadlifts. My phone lit up with a stack of gray bubbles. 10:02 p.m. We need to talk. 1:14 a.m. You brought a date after everything we talked about. 1:27 a.m. I thought we were friends. 1:41 a.m. You're really moving on like that? This is so unfair. 5 a.m. You made me look stupid. People kept asking who he was. 2:1 a.m. I thought you cared. Can you at least reply? Fine. Ignore me. 40 a.m. Call me when you're ready to talk like an adult. I'm sorry if I upset you. Please just call. I scrolled through them slowly, feeling more tired than emotional. 6 months ago, messages like these would have sent me into panic mode, drafting careful replies, trying to reassure him, trying to fix whatever he decided I'd done wrong. Now, all I felt was clarity. He was upset because things weren't centering around him anymore. That wasn't the same as me harming him. I took a sip of coffee, looked at the last message, and wrote, I care about you as a friend, the same way you said you care about me. Nothing more. You told me I'm not girlfriend material. I'm allowed to date someone who disagrees. You rejected me. I'm moving on. That's how it works. After a deep breath, I hit send. He responded instantly. But it's only been 2 weeks. That's not enough time to get over someone. Maybe not for you, I thought. But you weren't the one who got the "you're sweet but not like that" speech. I typed, maybe not for you, but you're not the one who got rejected. You made your choice. I'm responding to it. 10 seconds passed, then 20. I didn't reject you. I just don't feel the same way. That's different. I almost laughed. I wrote, that is literally what rejection is, Liam. You don't get to soften it for yourself and make it harsher for me. The typing bubble appeared and disappeared. You're doing this to hurt me. You brought him to that party to get back at me. I set down my cup, feeling steadier. No, I went with Noah because he enjoys spending time with me. Your feelings about that aren't my responsibility. This time he didn't reply, and the quiet felt like a door closing, not a threat. I spent Sunday with Noah. Brunch, a walk through the park, and easy conversation about work, childhood, and random memories. He didn't ask about the messages or push for details. He let me be a person, not someone expected to explain herself. That's when something clicked. With Liam, I'd always been performing, trying to prove I was worth choosing. With Noah, there was no performance, just presence. The contrast was obvious. On Monday, during lunch, Mark called. I considered ignoring it, but answered. We need to talk about Saturday, he said awkwardly. What about it? I asked. Liam's really upset, he said. He said it felt like you brought Noah just to rub it in. I sighed. I went to a friend's party with someone I'm seeing. That's not strategy. That's normal life. Mark said he knew, but he felt caught between us. You don't have to be, I said. You can be friends with both of us without managing his emotions. Mark hesitated. He thought you two would still be close, like before. Before I told him I liked him and he said I wasn't girlfriend material, I clarified. He expected me to stay in the same role, supportive, available, and expecting nothing. I paused. Serious question. When someone rejects you, how long are you supposed to wait around? What's the approved timeline for moving on without bruising someone's ego? Mark mumbled, longer than 2 weeks? Says who? I said. People who want the benefits of closeness without the responsibility that comes with it. He stayed quiet until finally saying he felt bad for Liam. Don't, I said. He made a choice. Choices have consequences. One of them is that he doesn't get priority access to me anymore. So you're done with the friendship? He asked. I thought about it. No, I'm done being the kind of friend who gives him the emotional advantages of a relationship without the commitment. Group events? Fine. Occasional texts? Fine. But the constant one-on-one talks, late-night venting, the you're my person but not someone I want to date setup, that's over. Mark said it sounded harsh. Being kind to someone who rejected me at my own expense would be harsh, I said. He didn't argue. We ended the call with vague plans to meet up, but I knew something in that dynamic had changed too. I wasn't just stepping back from Liam. I was stepping back from the whole pattern that taught me my needs didn't matter if someone else's comfort was on the line. 2 weeks after the party, I walked into the coffee shop. Ours for years, though it had slowly shifted into his after the fallout. I reminded myself the place didn't belong to him, and I wasn't abandoning an entire spot just because he might show up. So when Noah suggested grabbing a drink after my workout and this cafe was closest, I said yes. We walked in, the bell chimed, and I saw him immediately. Liam in the corner booth. His booth now, I guessed. His expression froze halfway between polite surprise and something sharper. Noah leaned in slightly. Is that him? Yeah, I said. Want to go somewhere else? He asked. Do you want to? He added after studying my face. I looked around. The counter, the familiar barista, the tables that held so much of my time. No, I said. I come here all the time. I'm not avoiding places because he might be here. Then we stay, Noah said. We ordered and took a table halfway across the room instead of our old booth. I felt Liam watching, but I kept my attention on Noah as he talked about a client who wanted defined abs in 3 weeks while refusing to drink water. People really think complaining counts as cardio, he joked, making me laugh loud enough that the barista smiled. About 20 minutes later, a shadow appeared at our table. Jenna, Liam said. I looked up. Can we talk outside? His jaw was tight, like he'd practiced the moment. Noah glanced at me, touched my arm lightly, and said, I'll be here. Take whatever time you need. I followed Liam onto the sidewalk. The air was crisp, every sound sharp. He stepped a little away from the door, then turned back. Is this really how things are going to be? He asked. I folded my arms loosely. How? You dating someone and acting like our friendship never mattered. Our friendship still exists, I said. It just looks different. Different how? His voice rose. We never talk. You barely text back. You ignored me at Mark's. You wouldn't even step outside to speak to me until I practically begged. I respond to your texts, I said evenly. Just not immediately. And I'm not ignoring you, Mel. I'm simply not prioritizing you anymore. Why not? He asked, honestly confused. The question was almost unbelievable. Because you made it clear I wasn't a priority to you, I said. You wanted me in the background, not someone central, so I adjusted. That's not fair, he argued. I told you I wanted to stay friends. Yes, I nodded. Friends means equal footing. It means I'm not required to drop everything for you. It also means you don't get to be upset when I spend time with someone who actually wants to be with me. Come on, Jenna. Noah doesn't know you like I do, he insisted. I've been there for you for 2 years. I tilted my head. You were there when it worked for you, I said quietly. When you needed attention or company, and I showed up every time. But the moment I needed more, you shut the door and expected me to be grateful you still wanted me around in a smaller role. His eyes flickered. You're twisting everything. I'm clarifying, I said. He swallowed hard. This is so unfair, he said, voice unsteady. I didn't do anything wrong. I was honest with you about my feelings. You were, I agreed. And now I'm being honest about mine. I held his gaze. You're not boyfriend material for me either. You're friend material. The sort of friend I see at group events and chat with politely, not someone I build my emotional life around. You're being cruel, he said. No, I replied. I'm being proportional. You told me I wasn't enough for the place I wanted in your life. I'm telling you, you're not enough for the role you got used to having in mine. His eyes shone. I didn't realize losing you would hurt this much, he whispered. I believed him, and that was the difficult part. He truly hadn't thought ahead. Maybe you should have considered that before asking me to suppress my feelings so you could stay comfortable, I said. So this is punishment? He snapped. You're punishing me for not loving you. No, I said. This is me moving on. Punishment would be staying close, pretending everything's fine, and secretly wishing you were unhappy. Moving on means creating distance so your choices don't control my life anymore. He shook his head slowly. You're not the person I thought you were. Neither are you, I said. I used to believe you wanted me to choose myself. Turns out you wanted me to choose you, no matter what you chose. We stood there in the thin, cool light for a moment. Then I stepped back. I need to go. My boyfriend is waiting. I used the word intentionally. Boyfriend, not the guy I'm seeing or a friend from the gym. His expression showed he understood the difference. I turned and walked back inside. Noah looked up from his phone when I returned. He didn't ask for details or check where Liam went. Everything okay? He asked. Yeah, I said. And for the first time, the word felt genuine. 2 months had passed since the party, since everything in my life quietly shifted into something I hadn't known was possible. In that time, Noah and I didn't rush. We didn't force labels or pretend we were in some dramatic romance. We were steady and intentional, the way healthy things grow when no one is pushing them. He introduced me to his friends. trainers, nutritionists, and a man named Trent who sold refurbished bikes and insisted cycling solved existential dread. I introduced him to mine, except the game night group. Not out of bitterness, just because I didn't feel like explaining why I no longer sat in the corner booth with Liam beside me. The parts of my life that once revolved around Liam had become quiet, unused spaces I'd outgrown, and I didn't miss them. One Saturday morning, I was at Noah's kitchen counter drinking coffee from a dumbbell-shaped mug when his phone buzzed. He glanced at it and set it face down. I raised an eyebrow. It looked intentional. He exhaled, a long, resigned breath that carried more history than he probably wanted to unpack so early. "It's my ex," he said. "Rachel." I paused with my mug halfway to my mouth. "The one who texted during our second date?" He winced. "Yeah, she tends to reappear at inconvenient moments." "Everything okay?" I asked. He nodded. "She heard from friends that I'm seeing someone." "Me?" He smiled. "You." There was no tension, no defensiveness, just information shared openly. "What does she want?" I asked. He shrugged. "I'm not sure she knows. That door closed a long time ago, but she knocks whenever she sees a light on the other side." I nodded, understanding it too well. Some people don't want you. They just want to know you still want them. "Do you need to talk to her?" I asked. "No," he said immediately. "I already did. I told her clearly that I'm happy and moving forward, and that I'm with someone who fits my life." His eyes met mine. He didn't say it as pressure, just honesty. "I'm not worried," I said. His shoulders eased. "Good?" Because unlike with Liam, I no longer felt like I was competing for small pieces of clarity or attention. With Noah, everything was straightforward. No guessing, no interpreting, just honesty. A week later, while I was prepping quinoa bowls for the week, my phone buzzed with a message from Mark. "Hey, you got a minute?" I wiped my hands and called him. He skipped the greeting. "I talked to Liam," he said quickly. I closed my eyes. "Mark?" "No, listen," he cut in. "He's been off lately. He saw something online and asked Hannah if you're still upset with him." "I'm not upset," I said steadily. "I moved on." "That's what I told him," Mark said. And he replied, "Somehow that feels worse." I leaned against the counter. Of course it did. There's a certain sting in realizing someone has truly moved past you, especially when you assumed they'd always be there in the background. "He thought you'd come around eventually," Mark added. "I know," I said. "That was part of the issue." "So what do you want me to tell him?" he asked. "Nothing," I said. "I don't need him to understand. I just need distance." Mark sighed. "Feels like I lost both of you." "You didn't," I said, though I knew the dynamics had shifted. People adjust or they don't. I wasn't waiting for anyone to catch up. 2 days later, my phone buzzed again. A short message from Liam, polished, careful, and emotionally neutral, the kind of thing drafted in a notes app. "I saw you're seeing someone. I hope you're happy." No blame, no guilt, no drama, just a sentence holding all the acceptance he would never say directly. I read it twice and set the phone down, not out of anger, but because there was nothing left to add. I had said everything that mattered outside that cafe. Anything after that belonged to silence. People sometimes ask whether I regret how it all unfolded. Should I have been softer? More patient? More loyal to the history we had? But the truth is simple. Being overly kind to someone who dismissed my feelings would have been unkind to myself. For 2 years, I gave Liam a version of me that worked hard to be enough. I offered him care he didn't earn and attention he didn't return. When I stopped, he didn't lose a love he never wanted. He lost a comfort he never valued. And those are not the same. Weeks later, Noah and I walked through the farmer's market on a Sunday morning, a new routine that fit us better than old habits ever did. He picked up fresh basil and said, "We should make pasta tonight." "Homemade?" I teased. "I'll handle the dough," he said, nudging me lightly. "You can supervise." Deal. It was simple. It was quiet. It was easy. We stopped at a candle booth, then a stand with sunflowers so bright they hardly looked real. Noah insisted on buying some for my kitchen window. As we walked with our hands brushing, I recognized something. This wasn't a rebound, a distraction, or an attempt to prove anything. It was a life where I wasn't a backup. I wasn't almost enough. I wasn't convenient only when needed. I was someone's clear choice. And more importantly, I was finally my own choice. Later that night, while slicing tomatoes, I thought about something Liam said during our last conversation. You're not the person I thought you were. Good, I thought, because the person he imagined was someone who lived for his validation. That version of me is gone, and the new one doesn't wait for anyone. That evening, as Noah stirred the sauce and hummed quietly, I felt a steady sense of peace. Not the fragile kind you try to protect, but the grounded kind you build with intention. Whatever came next, labels, commitment, the future, I knew one thing clearly. I chose myself first. Everything else was a bonus.